I've taken a break from trad bows over the last 12 months, shot them here and there at clinics and tried to get a fallow deer in the rut with a longbow and was not successful. Because I've been focusing on my compound stuff over the last 12 months or so, and as a result of a few things, lost a fair bit of strength and condition, so pulling my heavier trad bows wasn't as easy as it was before that. So I decided to get back into the trad thing, or ease my way back into the trad thing, with this ILF rig, which I have owned for a couple of years, but I haven't really done much with it. I bought it to build a fairly light arrow and go into ABA field archery competitions here in Australia and try and get my point on as close to 50 metres as I could for that purpose. And I did build some arrows and it tuned out nicely, but I just never got around to going in any of those comps. Like I said, I've just enjoyed the compound stuff a lot more the last 12 months or so after having such a long break from it. So it's actually a Tradtech Titan 19-inch riser with Samick Discovery limbs. I bought the riser used with this camo paint job on it off a bloke in America for a very good price, significantly less than a brand new one, and even with our weak Australian dollar and shipping to Australia, saved a great deal of money on a brand new one. So that was a good opportunity that I seized. I bought the limbs brand new and I put this cruddy looking paint job on there to try and make them blend into the bush a little bit more, and I'll have to probably touch it up or do a better job with it before I take it out seriously hunting. The limbs are 50 pounds on a 17-inch riser, so they pull about 48 pounds on this riser at 28 inches, which I'm actually drawing about 28 inches now, which has been verified by many people multiple times, which is nice. It actually ended up maybe being a little bit heavy for some of that target stuff I wanted to do anyway, being close to 50 pounds, but it was punching out a 350 grain arrow at almost 200 feet per second. The last time I chronographed it, I think I got 197 feet per second. But for the sake of getting back into hunting, I built up some different arrows. So these are 400 spine at 31 inches. I only had to cut a little bit off them. A 55 grain component on the front and a 200 grain point. So they are actually 500 grains right on the nose, about 501 grains. And out of this bow, on my fingers, they are doing 170 feet per second, which is more than enough for the pigs and goats and deer and other small game that I might point this bow towards. I'm using a Marksman finger tab as always, and this Marksman quiver here, I bought the hood and the gripper for my Black Widow bow, and it has some bolt-on brackets on the back of it. And I ended up buying these straps to suit my St. Patrick Lake machine stick, which worked beautifully. And I've got them on these wider recurve limbs here, but they don't quite fit perfectly, which, I mean, they wouldn't fit perfectly anyway, but it's doing the job right now, and I'll end up buying some different brackets for it soon enough, or talk to Mark, because I think he might have something new in the works which might fit these limbs a little bit better anyway. I've got a string from Jack Spinks, as always. Basically only ever shoot Jack strings because he's a good bloke, makes a good string. And it hasn't been a bow that's inspired me to shoot it a great deal, because part of what I love so much about traditional archery is having a nice wooden bow with nice lines, and this thing's just a bit of an ugly duckling, I guess you could say. But I've been much more inspired to shoot it lately because it's easier to shoot than all my other bows, not just because it's a heavier riser and less weight on my fingers, but also a bit easier to tune because it actually came from the bloke with this springy rest on it as well. So it sort of gives me a little bit more, a few more options, I suppose, with the arrow tuning thing. I like the idea of 200 grain points with my trad bows wherever I can get away with it, because I've got lots of really good 200 grain broadheads, and the ones I'm currently looking to hunt with are from an Australian company called Tradtech Broadheads, which is just a nice big one-piece single bevel head, which I love my single bevels. It's definitely a hangover from the trad stuff because I'm using single bevels as much as I can on my compound bow now too, but very easy to sharpen, and they seem like a very solid head. I haven't done much with them yet, but a friend of mine sent one into a water buffalo with his compound bow recently and did a fantastic job, so they should be very good for what I want to chase. I like a fairly close point on for hunting with a trad bow because it stops me from being tempted, thank you cows, stops me from being tempted to take shots further than what I'm really capable of with my abilities. But it also means my gaps inside my point on are much easier to deal with psychologically because I'm not aiming 2 meters below something. I may be aiming about a foot at the most. So right now I've got that target out at 25 meters, which I believe is my point on. I need to keep shooting and confirming, and I'm not grouping as well as I'd like to today to confirm it right now, but I'm just going through the motions of sending some arrows as far as I would like to in a hunting situation, or the furthest I'd like to, and I've got a nice backdrop of my firewood there to try and keep my focus where it needs to be. Still really enjoying the compound, but my love for traditional archery is still there, and if I'm lucky enough to get some fairly early success in the fallow rut next April with my compound, I may well take this thing out and see if I can make something happen. But my wife and I will have a 6-month-old son with us in fallow rut camp next year, so I may be a little bit more limited on time. We'll just have to see how that all pans out. Very exciting times though. If you've got any other questions about the setup, guys, just leave a comment below and I'll see what I can do to get back to you quickly. But yeah, I'll be the first one to tell you I don't really have a huge amount of knowledge or experience with these ILF rigs, but I'll do my best to answer what I can, and certainly do my best to get some good hunting footage to you with this bow in the coming months. Cheers.